Okay, I would like to call the July meeting of the City of Akron Housing Appeals Board to order. Board members, you received the minutes of our previous meeting in the mail. Are there any changes, additions, corrections, comments on the minutes?
No.
Nope.
If not, the minutes stand approved as mailed. Mr. York, would you like to swear in the staff?
Sure. Dwayne, you want to take off your mute?
Done.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you.
You. Okay, Jody, I assume we will take the case first for which there is someone in our waiting room.
Yes. We'll start with that one. Let me pull up our pictures here.
Do we need to admit this person or have we done that already?
Just let them into the room.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So let's find Brown Street. All right. Slideshow from current slide. Yay, there we go. New case 5786 1333 Brown Street. And that there has been no compliance with housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, heavily vandalized, dilapidated, the scene of police activity, it is tax delinquent, has been secured by the city, is in bankruptcy and not registered. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and the housing division recommends that it be demolished with all cost assessed.
Okie dokie. And we have someone in the audience that wants to speak to us about this property. And who is that? Jody, do you have the name of the gentleman?
I believe it's Mr. Burns.
Mr. Burns, are you on with us?
Uh-oh.
Isn't technology wonderful?
Mr. Burns?
Tell him how to unmute his computer.
He is unmuted.
And it's not just me that can't hear him, is that correct? Nobody
Yeah, I
can-
can't hear him either.
Yeah.
I've also just asked to start video, see if they're there.
Jody, have you had a conversation with him?
No, I have not.
Okay. And he is a neighbor to this property? To the best of your knowledge?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
If he can't get his video up, could we have him call in and just talk to us?
We'd certainly prefer video.
Yeah.
It's showing that his audio is connected. He may not be at his screen right now.
We can take another, do you want to hold this one, take another property and come back to this? And he may be able to work out his issues, or he, as she said, he may be away from his screen. He might have just logged on and thinking he wouldn't be up right away. Screen.
I mean, it's up to you guys what you want to do.
What are the board's wishes?
I think we should put it aside and go to another one.
If he's really making an effort to try and join us, I'd like to be able to give him a chance to be heard. If it's
Yeah.
technology and we can never hear him, then I guess we can't, but we can maybe give him a little more time.
Okay.
Would you like me to put him back in the waiting room or leave him in here?
He can stay.
Okay,
It's fine. But
If we were meeting in
if
person,
he happens to, Nina, if he happens to respond to your email to let you know he's back at his computer, could you let us know? Nina?
I'll try and chat with him too.
Okay. There's nobody else in the waiting room right now?
No.
Okay.
Okay, then we just want to start with the first case then on 12th Street.
sure.
Okay,
We're doing this just to confuse Michelle, who's got to try and make sense of it.
new case 5784, 2232 12th Street Southwest. There has been no compliance with housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, heavily vandalized. The scene of police activity is tax delinquent, has been secured by the city, and is not registered. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and the housing division recommends that it be demolished with all costs assessed.
This one's been hanging around for a while, and it looks like for a period of time, at least this year, in 2020, you've had one full-time staff person there doing nothing but boarding up this property.
Correct.
Right.
And we've had 14 complaints,
I've got 16.
16. Well, math was never my strongest subject.
Tax delinquent.
Jody, at one point, we thought we were going to get a waiver, and then they didn't pay their assessments. Is that correct?
That is correct. We could not proceed with processing the waiver because the owner failed to pay their assessments.
Okie dokie. Are there any questions for Jody about this property from the board? If not, is there a motion?
New case 5784, the property at 2232 12th Street Southwest. In that there has been no compliance with orders against this property. The property is vacant, vandalized, and the scene of police activity. The property is tax delinquent, has been secured by the city, and is unregistered. The deteriorated condition is a blighting influence. I move we raise with cost assessed.
Second.
Any
Second.
discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Michael, did you vote? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Yes, I did.
Okay, thank you. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Okay.
In case there's anybody on listening in, Jody, do you want to talk about what happens to a property once it's been ordered raised?
Yes. When a property is ordered demolished by the Housing Appeals Board, we have to hold that file for 30 days to see if we receive an appeal of the demolition order. If we do not receive an appeal, we will then prepare the file to be sent to our demolition program. They will then take all the necessary steps to have the property demolished.
Thank you. Okay, next case.
New case 5785, 193 East Archwood Avenue. There has been no compliance with housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, dilapidated, the scene of police activity. The owner's whereabouts are unknown. It is tax delinquent, has been secured by the city, and is not registered. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and the Housing Division recommends that it be demolished with all cost assessed.
Well, this one was a challenge to get photos of.
Yeah,
Is
it
that
was
a
very
shed-
overgrown.
Is that a shed in the back corner there?
Yeah, it's a little rusted shed.
And is that, the other picture on that page, Jody, is that just wood that's there? Is it something that's fallen down, a structure that's fallen down? Or
The
is it just
fence.
a fence? Okay. Any questions for Jody? If not, is there a motion on this property?
Yeah, new case 5785193 East Archwood Avenue. Whereas there has been no compliance with housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, dilapidated, scene of police activity, owner's whereabouts unknown, tax delinquent, has been secured by the city, is not registered, and the deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood. I move the property be raised with all costs assessed.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Okay,
Lanita has joined us. Welcome, Lanita.
Maybe?
I saw her name pop. Yes, I saw her name pop up on the participants.
new case 5787, 34 Cole Avenue. That there has been no recent compliance with housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, dilapidated. The owner is deceased. It is tax delinquent. It has been secured by the city and is not registered. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and the Housing Division recommends that it be demolished with all costs assessed. I'm not sure if Andrea Whitaker has logged in or not. She was the neighbor that I had sent the information to.
There's no one else on the waiting room right now.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
Do you think we should hold this one, Jody? Were you expecting someone to sign in for this one?
I sent the information. She never sent a confirmation saying she was going to.
Okay.
I mean, they request the information, I send it to them,
But we don't
and
know.
then
if
it's
they're
up to
gonna-
them whether they join us or not.
Okay, we can.
Let's
we can
consider
go.
that the owner's been deceased at least 9 years and there's been no probate. And it's tax delinquent over 21 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Jody, how did this one get lost in the shuffle? Well, I don't want to say lost in the shuffle, but the original complaint, original orders were in 2011. Why have we not dealt with this sooner, I guess?
The property was actually occupied until the last couple of years. The owner was deceased. She had, I don't know if it was her partner or her friend but there was another older lady that lived at the property at the same time. And when the owner was deceased, she continued to live there. She just was not able to do anything with the property.
Okay, I see in 2011, it was condemned and ordered vacated. Somewhere along the line, I show the electric was restored, but I don't ever show that the vacate order was lifted, or else I missed it.
It may just not have been properly noted in the file.
Okay. Any questions for Jody about the Cole Avenue property? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion. New
Okey
case
dokey.
5787, 34 Colt Avenue, where there has been no recent compliance with this housing orders against this property, which is vacant, dilapidated, owners deceased, tax delinquent, secured by the city, not registered. The deteriorating condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and I move we raise with all costs assessed.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, new case 5788, 130 West Long Street. There has been no compliance with housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, heavily vandalized, dilapidated, the scene of police activity. It is tax delinquent, has been secured by the city, and is not registered. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and the Housing Division recommends that it be demolished with all cost assessed.
Jody, is that an addition on the back or was that the original structure?
I'm not sure. At one point, the property was a duplex,
Okay.
because if you look at the title, it's 128 to 130 West Long.
Right. See that.
So, I mean, if you look at the different pictures, you can see there are like side entrances. So I would say probably, if I had to guess by looking at it, it was probably either the back house or the front house was the original house, and at some point, probably long before any of us.
Well, not some of us.
Well, the original house was built in 1913.
Okay,
So-
before any of us.
Right.
So, okay, so I have a question. I don't know, I don't know if it's a technicality or not. We're looking at the case number 5788 at 130 West Long Street. The title information shows 128 and 130. When we make a motion to raise this property, if that's indeed what we do, what do we need to do about 128?
The address of the property is 130 West Long. If you go by the parcel to the property, it's 128 to 130. So that would be a legal question.
Mr. York, can you advise us?
I don't have the document in front of me, but it sounds like at this point, the whole property is referred to as 130 West Long. That in the past, at some point,
Yeah, so Jody's showing. Yeah, the title information shows 128 and 130.
okay, I don't have Jody's screen on. Let me find Jody.
And Jody, also, the title says 128 and 130 Long Street. The address on the progression report shows 130 West Long. I just don't want us to get in any legal mess by ordering a property down with a wrong address.
Right. This is 128 to 130 West Long Street in Akron, Ohio. Parcel number 6712300.
So both addresses are on this one parcel, correct?
One building.
Yeah, and they're both owned by the same person.
Correct.
So this person got notice.
Correct.
So
So
if
John,
we
if we
make
make
a
a motion.
motion
would it
for
be
both
130?
addresses.
Sure, that would be the safe thing to do. That's what I'd recommend. Just wanted to make sure that both addresses had the same owner, because then the owner certainly got notice of tonight's hearing.
Correct.
The opportunity to get noticed.
Any other questions for Jody? If not, is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay,
New case 5788, 128 through 130 West Long Street. There has been no compliance with the housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, heavily vandalized, dilapidated, police activity, tax delinquent, secured by the city and not registered. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and I move that this property be raised with all costs suitably assessed.
before we get a
Second.
second, Lenita, what address did you give?
I give 128 through 130 West Long Street.
Okay, I didn't hear the west. I just was checking. Thank you.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
All right, new case 5790, 583 Sanford Avenue. There has been no compliance with housing orders issued against this property, which is
Jody, I'm sorry.
What happened?
What happened to Pondview?
Yeah.
You're right.
Are we going to Sanford or are we going to Pondview?
There it is.
Hello.
We'll do Pondview.
Okay.
Jody was just testing us.
Okay.
Making sure you're paying attention.
Okay.
Okay, let me get the right photographs up now. Share screen. There we go.
Okay.
New case 5789, 1300 Pondview Avenue. There has been no compliance with housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, heavily vandalized, dilapidated. It is tax delinquent. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and the housing division recommends that it be demolished with all cost assessed.
Does Mr. Burchett, is somebody from Adult Protective Services still working with him?
I'm not sure.
Do we know if he has an understanding of what's going on?
We sent the notice to the last address that we had for him, which was at Bath Manor. I think if you look through the synopsis, though, this property may have had a waiver.
There was a waiver, but he
Didn't pay the
needed to pay-
deposit.
Needed to pay. it.
Exactly. That's what it was. Yeah. He did sign a waiver for this property, but he didn't pay the deposit.
Okay, and we believe that he understood what he was doing when he signed the waiver.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I feel better about that. Any questions for Jody about this property? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
New case 5789, 1300 Pondview Avenue. There has been no compliance with the housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, heavily vandalized, dilapidated. It is tax delinquent. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood. I move that this property be, excuse me, be demolished with all costs assessed.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Okay, now we will go to new case 5790, 583 Sanford Avenue. There has been no compliance with housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, dilapidated, heavily fire damaged, has been secured by the city, and is not registered. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and the Housing Division recommends that it be demolished with all costs assessed.
Jody, when was the fire on this? Do you know? The only reason I asked is the greenery has grown up and hidden it well, so.
Well, the second set of pictures, you can see the fire damage
Yeah.
on. It was December 2018.
Oh, okay. You got a few that were challenging you to get good pictures to the jungle this time.
Correct.
Any other questions for Jody? Is there a motion?
Do you feel like Jungle Larry when you took the pictures?
Sometimes.
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
New case 5790, 583 Stanford Avenue, where there has been no compliance housing order against this property, which is vacant, dilapidated, heavily fire damaged, secured by the city, not registered. The deteriorating condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood. I move we raise with all costs assessed.
Second.
Any discussion? We should at least commend the owner for keeping his taxes paid. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Okay. New case 5791492 Sumner Street. There has been no compliance with housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, heavily vandalized, the scene of police activity. The owner's whereabouts are unknown. It has been secured by the city and is not registered. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and the Housing Division recommends that it be demolished with all costs assessed.
Okay, this is another one that's been around for a while.
Mhm.
Yeah. About 4 years.
And had plenty of assessments. Okay, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
New case 579, I'm sorry, excuse me. New case 5791, 492 Sumner Street. There has been no compliance with the housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, heavily vandalized, police activity, owner whereabouts are unknown, secured by the city and not registered. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and I move that this property be raised with all costs suitably assessed.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Okay. New case 5792, 1132 Victory Street. There has been no compliance with housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, heavily vandalized, dilapidated, the scene of police activity. It is heavily fire damaged, is tax delinquent, has been secured by the city, and is not registered. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and the Housing Division recommends that it be demolished with all costs assessed.
Okay, any questions for Jody on this one? Is there a motion?
I'll make a
Yeah,
motion.
motion.
Oh,
Go ahead, Em.
are you sure?
Go ahead.
New
Yeah,
case.
go ahead.
Okay, new case 5792-1132 Victory Street, where there has been no housing orders against this property, which is vacant.
Excuse me.
heavily-
Emily,
Yes,
back up a half a sentence. Start over.
there has been no housing orders against this property. Am I good?
There's been no compliance with housing.
Oh,
orders.
compliance. I miss that line every time. Compliance with housing orders against this property, which is vacant, heavily vandalized, dilapidated, police activity, heavily fire damaged, not registered, secured by the city, tax delinquent. The deterioration condition of this property is a blinding influence on the neighborhood, and I move we raise with all costs assessed.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Do we want to check back in on Brown Street before we move to the waivers, or do the waivers and check Brown last?
Let's see if Brown is there.
James, are you available? He's not responded to my Zoom chat, so. James, are you available? James, if you hear me and can't talk, go to function.
Oh,
Does not look like it.
Yeah.
It's up to you.
Well, oh, there's something in chat.
Oh, he says, I hear you.
Hear you.
Ah,
Okay, James, I am going to send you a phone number to call into so that you can be heard. Give me one moment. Okay, I just sent you a private message with the phone number, the meeting ID, and the passcode to use to get in. If you call that from a phone, you should be able to get in and be able to speak.
Technology's great when it works.
hey, what? We had
Very
what,
frustrating.
48 on the Firestone board meeting the other night?
Yeah, I didn't see how many there were. I didn't pay attention to how many
It
there
was,
were.
I know it was over 40, which is quite an accomplishment. telephone.
And we must have lost Carol somewhere along the line. I don't see her still on the, oh, yes, I do.
I'm here.
Yeah, Carol.
Do you guys want to go ahead and do the waivers while we're,
We can do that.
I'll let you guys know when he hits the waiting room.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Waiver.
all right, so let's see here. Waiver case 5793, 173 Bechtel Avenue. There has been no compliance with housing orders issued against this property. It is vacant, heavily vandalized, dilapidated. All lien holders of record have been notified. It is, let's see here. It is not tax delinquent. The owner has submitted a voluntary demolition waiver stating that the property is in such a state of disrepair as to create a serious hazard to the health and safety of the community. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and the Housing Division recommends that it be demolished with all cost assessed.
Needs to send a message down there at the bottom of the text message.
Says the meeting password was invalid.
All right. You want a motion on the waiver?
Wait, and I have a question.
Okay.
I assume we're not all bent out of shape by the fact that there were a couple of places on the paperwork where Bob Titus was supposed to circle the type of structure it was, then he didn't. But I guess that may not be a big deal. But my bigger question is, on the progression report, we show the recorded owner as Bob. On the title information, the owner is Open M. Is it titled to Open M?
Well, I'm trying to find the research on here.
I'm assuming it's titled to Open M, but the progression report shows the recorded owner as Robert Titus. With the Open M.
That's who the notice was sent to, because Robert Titus signed it as the CEO
Yeah,
for the owners.
okay, so that we don't, that's not a problem.
No, that was the responsible party, and that's who it was sent to.
Okay. It just, I guess my OCD kicks in when it says recorded owner. I just don't want us to do anything that somebody's going to come back later and say, you know, this wasn't right. And
Correct. The progression report is informational. The progression report provides information to you guys to make a decision.
Okay. Now you can go ahead, Michael.
Okay. Waiver case 5793. The property at 173 Bechtel Avenue. In that there has been no compliance with orders issued against this property. The property is vacant, vandalized, dilapidated. All lien holders of record have been notified. The owner has submitted a voluntary demolition waiver stating that the property is in such a state of disrepair as to create a serious hazard to the health and safety of the community, and the deteriorated condition is a blighting influence. I move we raise with cost assessed.
Second.
Any discussion? And Jody, it doesn't, we're not bothered by those little details on his paperwork, I assume.
No, because I didn't accept that paperwork. It's accepted by the demolition program. And when they're satisfied with their paperwork, then they present it to me to present to you guys.
Okay. That's all I need to know. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Okay. Waiver case 5794, 165 West North Street. And that the property is vacant, dilapidated. All lien holders of record have been notified, and the owner has submitted a voluntary demolition waiver stating that the property is in such a state of disrepair as to create a serious hazard to the health and safety of the community. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood and should be ordered demolished with all costs assessed.
Any questions for Jody? If not, is there a motion?
I have a motion. Waiver case 5794, 165 West North Street. Whereas this property is vacant, dilapidated, all lien holders of record have been notified. Owner has submitted a voluntary demolition waiver stated that the property is in such a state of disrepair as to create a serious hazard to the health and safety of the community. And the deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood. I move the property be raised with all costs assessed.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
The last waiver case is 5795, 573 Wilson Street, and that there has been no compliance with housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, heavily vandalized, dilapidated, heavily fire damaged. All lien holders of record have been notified, and the owner has submitted a voluntary demolition waiver stating that the property is in such a state of disrepair as to create a serious hazard to the health and safety of the community. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and the Housing Division recommends that it should be demolished with all costs assessed.
Any questions for Jody on this one? Is there a motion?
Your waiver case 5795, the property at 573 Wilson Street. In that there has been no compliance with orders issued against this property. The property is vacant, vandalized, the scene of police activity, heavily fire damaged, and the owner has submitted a voluntary demolition waiver stating that the property is in such a state of disrepair as to create a serious hazard to the health and safety of the community. The deteriorated condition of the property is a blighting influence in the neighborhood. I move we raise with cost assessed.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. Have we been able to connect up with Mr. Burns?
He has not come into the waiting room.
Can you still hear us, Mr. Burns? Looks like there's something in chat. Let's give him another minute to see if he's still trying to get in with the passcode. Nina, are you following his chat?
I can only give him the phone number and the meeting stuff. He's got to call it and punch everything in.
If he's having difficulty doing that, can Mr. Burns,
Say what he wants to say in the chat.
yeah.
Pretty
I'm
much.
assuming
Please
that-
tell us,
I'm
please
gonna
tell us.
assume that he's a neighbor and that he would be in favor of having the property raised. But I don't know why I would assume that, but I am. But he can tell us in the chat anything pertinent that he would like us to know.
He just got in here. I'm admitting him.
Oh, good.
Good, yay.
At least 3 years, and
Mr. Burns?
I'm hearing myself on feedback. Let me move back a little bit. The girls vacated that. It has
Mr.
rats.
Burns?
Yes.
Mr. Burns, I'm going to stop you for a minute. Mr. York,
Yes,
you need to swear in Mr. Burns.
yes. Mr. Burns,
Yes.
is it James Burns?
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to swear in.
Okay.
Is the testimony that you're about to give the truth and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, I do need to read the case into the record again before Mr. Burns' testimony.
Yes, I was just going to ask you to do that.
Thank you. New
Audio
case.
is so broken up. It's hard to hear what people are saying. It's as bad as some of the conversations from Apollo 1. It's really broken up.
We can hear you, Mr. Burns.
If
Okay.
everybody who's not speaking mutes, it won't be that bad.
Okay.
Okay, I'll give you real quick. All I
Okay,
know
one
is,
moment, Mr. Burns. We'll let you know when it's your turn to speak.
Okay, I'm gonna mute myself then.
New case 5786, 1333 Brown Street. And that there has been no compliance with housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, heavily vandalized, dilapidated, the scene of police activity. It is tax delinquent, has been secured by the city. The owner is in bankruptcy and it is not registered. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and the housing division recommends that it be demolished with all costs assessed. Don't forget to unmute your mic
Yeah.
when you speak.
Okay,
Okay, I'm unmuted.
Mr. Burns, if you would give us,
Yeah.
please, your name and address for our record.
James W. Burns, 1325 Brown Street. I'm 2 houses north of that house.
Thank you. Now, what would you like us to know about this house?
I know that there are rats, raccoons, and possums that live down underneath the garage floor, which is only dirt. It's been, we the neighbors on both sides, plus myself, have called the police dozens and dozens of times. They've come out and evicted people from there. They stole electric from the Edison company. They stole a meter somewhere, stuck it on the house. And I called Edison, notified them. And anyway, they really never did anything, but the police finally did. It's in really, really bad shape.
And how long has it been vacant, Mr. Burns?
Well over 2 years. My cousin even wanted to dismantle the garage and take the trusses and the vertical beams down to West Virginia for a project down there. We got a hold of the two girls that owned the place, and they were very upset with the city that the city gave their number to us.
So I
Never got
assume-
permission to take the material.
Yeah. What would you like this board to do?
I think it needs demolished. It's in terrible condition. The front right-hand corner of the house where the electric meter is, it's collapsed under there because of the water damage from the non-existent downspouts. The basement's filled with water. It's over 3 feet of trash in there. Every floor has got over 2 feet of trash.
Jody, have we ever been inside? Yeah, we must.
I have been inside. When I moved in here 25 years ago, I rewired the kitchen for the gals, and it was I'm a professional electrician. It was the worst job I've ever seen done anywhere. It was done by their father-in-law, something like that. The garage, the 2 walls are completely out of it. It was only a piece of fabric with the vinyl siding on it. There really weren't any walls there. And it's a place for vermin.
Is that the remains of a swimming pool in the backyard, Jody?
Yes.
Yes, it is. We called the city health department well over 50 times about the mosquito farm that was right there. Finally, it rotted through the bottom and the water drained out.
To answer your previous question, Ms. Williams, we did do an interior inspection of the property on February 15th, 2019. The property was already vacant and had already been condemned due to a lack of utilities.
Thank you. Do any board members have any questions for either Mr. Burns or Ms. Forrester? Is there a motion on this property?
I'd like to make a motion, please. New case 5786-1333 Brown Street. There has been no compliance with housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, heavily vandalized. It is dilapidated. It is police activity. It is tax delinquent, $8,218.37. It has been secured by the city in foreclosure, bankruptcy, not registered. The deteriorated condition of the property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood. I believe that this property be raised with all costs suitably assessed.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Mr. Burns, thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight to talk to us about this property. The board members, when they have a chance, do drive by properties that we're going to be addressing, but we don't live there and you folks do, so it means a lot to us to have you come and tell us exactly what you're living with, and especially when we're having to meet remotely like this and have technical difficulties, we really appreciate your sticking with us. Were you in the meeting at the beginning when Ms. Forrester explained what happens once the board orders a property raised?
I could not understand the audio because it was so broken up.
Jody, can you explain that for him, please?
Sure. Anytime a property is ordered demolished by the Housing Appeals Board, We have to hold the file for 30 days to see if there's an appeal of the board's decision. If we do not receive an appeal, we will then prepare the paperwork for the demolition program, and they will then proceed with scheduling the demolition.
Thank you. So, Mr. Burns, it may be a while before it comes down, but at least we've started the process.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to mute and sign off.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead and sign off, Mr. Burns. Thank you.
Okay.
Anything else for the board or for the good of the order?
Yes. I was just contacted by a neurosurgeon down in Florida whose services I think I need. And I'll be traveling down there and probably will be down there for a while. But since we're doing this by video next month, I think I can participate from almost anywhere. If you would mail my package to a different address. Jody, can you take that?
Yeah, just email me. You have my email.
Yes, I'll email you the address. That's all I need.
And good luck, Michael.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Get
When are
well.
you leaving, Mike?
Pardon?
When are you heading south?
The 30th.
Ah, okay. You'll be here for the tournament?
No,
Oh, the 30th of this month.
of this month, yes. I had trouble getting in with this guy, being that he's a neurosurgeon. I had to take whatever appointment they would give me.
Well,
Well,
prayers
good
with
luck.
you.
And I did mention earlier, but now that everyone is logged on, I'll mention it again. I do have a request with the law department for them to investigate the legality of us using e-signatures. I have not heard back from anyone yet, but I did right after the last meeting. I got that started.
So in the meantime, you would like for us all to stop down
Riddick.
tomorrow if possible to sign
Yes, tomorrow. By 4
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Okay.
Can I come at like 7:30 again, Jody?
Come here, Riddick.
Yeah. If you want
Okay.
me to meet you downstairs at 7:30, that's fine.
Outside
Okay.
7:30, that's perfect. I'll meet you then.
Anyone who
Okay.
wants to come at 7:30 in the morning, I'll meet you out front with Emily.
So guys, I'm gonna show you my puppy. You guys have showed everything. Let me show you my puppy real quick. Come here, Riddick. Come here, buddy. This is my buddy. I don't know if you can see him or not.
Higher.
And
Would you like me to stop the live feed?
yes, you can do that.